This webinar is about your biggest year yet. And I think for many of us in the world, it feels like this is going to be our biggest year yet. I certainly have that sense. It's not necessarily a plan of mine, but it seems to be what's unfolding and what's going to continue to unfold. And I've heard a lot of my clients and my friends share the same thing. So there's this kind of interesting space that we are in where we have a sense that we're on the precipice of something. Raise your hand if that feels like you. I'm really excited about some of the reasons why some of you are here. So I'm hearing that you're working on a women's bliss workshop. Oh gosh, I can't wait to find out what that's all about. Please ping me somewhere and tell me. Have a broader impact on the world. Yes. Balance, finding balance, work, success while bringing up kids. Yes. Oh, I'm in that too, honey. Finishing my book. Amazing. And yeah, some of you have used the conscious goal setting worksheet that came with this webinar. I'm loving the podcast. Thank you so much. I'm loving it too. And I'm really appreciative for my team who's here, Heather and Elena, my amazing team who really helped make that happen in a big, big way. And yeah, to lean into becoming a leader and using your voice. Beautiful, having more impact. So that's why we're here. I'm hearing that we're here for really important reasons, really life-changing, really existential reasons. What is my purpose? How do I navigate in the world in order to fulfill the thing that means so much to me? And it's different for each of us, right? So in this workshop, we're going to cover why it's so critical for you this year to build a foundation for yourself where massive change can happen. So I want you to imagine right now, and you can even do this with your bodies. Maybe I'll spread out a little bit here, is like open up your body, like really put out your arms and just imagine that you are like the surface of the water. You're a plane. And imagine that you are the field, like you're the plane where change, any kind of change is possible. Any kind of change is possible in you because you are where change happens. Can't argue with that, right? You are where change happens. So we want to work on building your foundation with the total acknowledgement that that foundation is you. And when we remember that, it all becomes much easier. And that's what I'm so excited to share with you today, because I see a lot of my clients, my friends, my prior self really struggling with goals. How do I balance ambition and presence? I have a girlfriend who just was on a podcast talking about this topic. I've had many of my clients ask about that. How do I stay present and conscious while also trying to achieve a goal? It almost seems like a paradox. If I'm thinking about the future, how can I be present? So I've got an answer for that, and I want you to wait until we get there because it's incredibly simplifying, and I don't want this to be complicated for us anymore. It doesn't need to be complicated. So I want you to leave today knowing how to build any goal onto a foundation that makes massive change possible. So let's right now create an agreement with each other that we are going to co-create that outcome for you. So that is, I'm going to do 100% of my job. I'm going to share my thinking. I will be as clear as I know how to be. I will be open, and I'd ask for you to be as committed to learning as you've ever been. So when you leave this webinar today, I want you to ask yourself the question, how did I create my experience there? How did I create my own outcome? So I want you to own 100% of that, and that's power. Today, we are going to focus on one of your goals. You're going to get to clarify or reset a goal that means a lot to you this year. We are going to talk about the secrets to getting yourself back on track and unstuck when that does happen, because it does. And it can look a lot of different ways. None of it's too fun. We are going to make a plan, a simple plan to make achieving your goal much, much easier. And you are going to get a massive boost of energy, calm, and encouragement. Please raise your hand if you are feeling that already. So staying centered, right? I'm hearing Aaron talking about staying centered, centering on self and leading with confidence. positive communication, executing on vision, living with purpose. Absolutely. That is what we're all about. Okay, so let's look at some of your deepest, most important goals. Perhaps you've even done a little bit of preparation and thinking in the back of your mind about what is a goal that's really important to me, and that's why you're here. But I want you to get really, really honest and say, is there something even bigger? If I really, in my heart of hearts, if something could unfold, a champagne popping moment, like an unbelievable win, if that could unfold for me easily and in a way that my system can handle and can integrate, right? If that could unfold, what would that be? What would that really purposeful goal be? So please grab a paper and a pen and write that down. I want you to write it down for yourself first. And then please, once you've written it down for yourself first, which is so important for learning, is that tactile experience, please share with the group. All right. Next, I want you to ask yourself, why does this goal matter to you? Why? So if you were to make this one change, what are you imagining that would give you? Some answers I've heard when I've asked this question of my clients, myself, is I'm imagining that if I achieve this goal, I will be happier. Or if I achieve this goal, I will be more fulfilled. I will be more good. I'll be doing more good work. I will be more successful. And what does that mean to you? What does that mean to you to be successful? For some, they say, if I achieve this goal, I can finally relax. Often that wraps around, issues, existential, physical issues, right? Body, like my health. If I could achieve this goal of breaking out of whatever, is ailing you, then that would give you health, and then you could finally relax and be at ease and be in joy. Or you can let's hang out here a little bit longer on this beautiful planet. Ooh, sorry. You can expect more of this from me. Okay, another thing that often ties to this idea of I can finally relax might be finances. So that might be coming up for you because you are grappling with real kind of life-changing reduction in what seem to be your resources. And it might be happening because you aspire to have a different kind of a lifestyle, or you aspire to make something possible in the future. So whatever the reason is, I want you to ask why it's important. What would it give you? And please write that down, simple one-word answer. What would it give you? I'm seeing here fulfillment, being the owner, more free, being better. I want to prioritize. I want to make impact. I want people to read this book of mine. Yeah, peace, calm, and purpose. Love it. Now I want you to ask, if it were to give you those things, what would that feel like? If it were to give you those things, what would that feel like? And maybe you'd feel excited. Maybe your body would feel at ease. Maybe you'd feel happy and joyful. Maybe you'd feel connected. Maybe you'd feel not alone. Maybe you'd feel secure or safe. Maybe you'd feel proud and abundant. Maybe you'd feel, confident around others, or more open, or less anxious. How do you think that would make you feel? So really think about these physical feelings, the body sensations, as well as the emotions. And let's hear what some of those are for you. Seeing excitement, strong, powerful, safe, excitement, less stress, more focus, presence, thrilled, powerful, joyous, connected, energized. Yeah. All right. So whatever you chose as your answer, whatever that thing is, you think is really that final outcome of if I achieve the goal, it'll give me these things, and then I'll feel this way. I want you to just imagine what that would be like. hang with me here. This is not going to be, it's not going to go where you might think it's going to go. So hang on, because some of this stuff right now sounds like the way you may have done goals before, but we're going to go in a really, really different direction. So I do want you to do this exercise, please. And just close your eyes for a moment. Imagine you feeling that way. Imagine that you did achieve this goal. You did get those benefits, those outcomes. And now you're feeling those feelings. You're feeling that joy. You're feeling that calm. Feeling that presence with those you love. You're feeling excited, thrilled, whatever it is, at ease. And can you notice, you're probably right now, if you just notice, are you feeling those feelings right now? Can you really imagine it so much that there is some body sensation happening right now? There's some emotional shift. You're feeling a taste of that excitement. Okay. You may open your eyes. And what I want to say is, you just created the feeling that you were going to work so hard for in achieving that goal. I'm going to say that again. You just created the feeling that you were going to work so hard for in achieving that goal. Doesn't mean the goal is not important, but here's the secret. Once you realize that you are the field where that very change that you are seeking happens, it actually literally happens in here, using some of this and using your visioning skills, some of your mind, some of your visioning skills, accessing it with your body and your emotions, your heart, your spirit, your soul, you actually can begin to create that change, that end result right now. Why that's important is, once you have committed to, I'm going to keep revisiting that space. I'm going to keep revisiting that feeling, that vision of mine. And you can actually fill yourself up completely with that feeling. And that is the foundation. That's the beginning of you effortlessly achieving that goal. Now I want to share a story with you. And the story was shared with me by a really wonderful teacher and coach, Christine. And Christine was sharing with me, 15 years ago, I was, a stay-at-home mom living in Michigan. I was a seeker, and she had done a lot of training and inner work. And she just had this goal for whatever reason. For some reason, she wanted to be on Oprah. She just got really honest with herself. Like, what do I really, in my heart of hearts, want to achieve? And she's like, I want to be on Oprah. And she's like, but I'm not an expert in anything. I'm not even, out in the world that much right now. I'm doing work. I'm mostly out there learning. I'm raising my children. I'm in the home. I'm working through issues with my husband, and I'm healing some of the wounds that helped to create my last divorce. And she had been in an abusive relationship before this. She had been physically abused. So now she's in this new relationship, and she's done all this inner work, and she's finding that she's able to break out of the patterns that she had been in the last one that helped to contribute to her staying in that damaging relationship and the dynamic that she suffered through that whole time. Okay, so she's now in a very different space, and she's an expert in that, and she realizes that I'm an expert in me. I'm an expert in how to work with this instrument that I am and how to change it. I actually have changed it. I've changed my life. I've changed the way I respond to things. And I'm in a different loving relationship now, and I've learned how to be loving to him in a way that I never was able to be loving to anyone, especially myself, before. Okay? But she's like, I want to be on Oprah. So she does this exercise. She imagines, well, why would I want to be on Oprah? What would that give me? Well, I want people to tell me how proud they are of me. How proud they are of me for changing like this, for doing that work, for being rigorous, for being clear, for being fearless in my self-examination. I want people to be proud of me for that. I also want to share my story with the world, because I do believe that there are a lot of people who could really benefit from hearing this story. I think it would be exciting. It would be like a break from my normal life. It would be this very different experience, and something that I've always kind of imagined while I've been watching Oprah. And that's what it would give me. Now, how would I feel? Okay, I would feel excited. I would feel joy. I would feel loved. I'd feel proud. From that moment, she realized I'm able to create those feelings in myself. Now that I know that, I am here responsible for the rest of my life to create those feelings for myself that I know that I can when I want them. So she made it her job. Every single day, she dedicated 10 minutes to envisioning that outcome, envisioning being on Oprah, what it would feel like, all the amazing things she would finally be able to believe, and the feelings that would give her. And she would fill herself up with those feelings for 10 minutes a day. And it was her work, and it wasn't always fun. It wasn't always easy. She didn't always like it, but she was committed to it. And eventually, after about 6 weeks, I think, of doing this kind of work, she was so full of those feelings that the goal actually naturally dropped away. She just didn't need it anymore. She had enough of that stuff. She didn't need to be on Oprah to get it. Okay, now, please, if you're feeling a little skeptical or like this is woo-woo, or maybe this is not going to be useful to me, please, like I said, hang tight. Okay, so here's what's amazing about this. A month and a half later, her daughter says, hey, for Christmas, would you buy me something on Oprah's good stuff list? I guess she puts out this list of her favorite things every year before Christmas. And so, Christine says, sure, honey, I'll get you something off that list. So she goes onto Oprah's website, and she notices that there's a little form where you can apply to be on the show. And so she's like, oh, cool. I'm going to just write a letter. So she wrote a letter about, telling exactly basically what I just shared with you, why she wants to be on the show and what she would talk about. The next day, Oprah's team calls her, and she is invited to be on the show. She's already committed for a training. They say, well, we're going to go and pick you up from the training on a plane. You're going to get to go be on Oprah, and then we're going to fly you back, all expenses paid, bring your husband with you. And anyway, so she was on the show. She was supposed to be on the show for 3 minutes. She ended up being on for 21 minutes. And then they invited her back a second time. This was, as you might imagine, life-changing, not just for her own inner experience, but because she now had all of that kind of recognition and attention for the work that she did. Now, some people didn't like actually what she shared, and others did. It was somewhat polarizing, and that's a different story. If you're curious, you can ping me about it. But she understands how this works. When she wants to achieve a goal, she focuses on, I need to be that magnet that already feels that way. Make sense? All right, so that's kind of secret number one. Are you guys with me? All right. Now, goals do work. You may have seen a lot of the research pointing to that it's really important that we use this SMART goals format. When goals are specific and challenging, it focuses our attention so much on things that are goal relevant that we inevitably are more likely to achieve that goal. Our focus is narrowed in on things related to that goal. And if you want to achieve the goal, you are more likely to achieve it if the goal is SMART, if it's specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. There's even a model I've seen, which is SMARTer, which means that goals need to also be evaluated and reviewed. So it can get a little bit complicated. And I want to know, does this sound like fun to you? This does not sound like fun to me. They are more likely to be achieved, but it's a bit of work. And here's where I'm coming from. And I think there may be some of you on the call that are like, I'm done. I don't want to hear anymore. But here's the thing. When I take my grand vision, my deep purpose, the thing that means more to me in life than anything else, and I make it so simple and specific that I've now taken away some of the mystery, and I've really constrained it to a thing that I'm ultimately not going to have control about what it ends up looking like once the goal happens, right? So there's a lot of stuff that I'm, in my mind, trying to control the more specific I get it. I'm all about making it vivid so that your body can feel it. But the specificity sometimes of these SMART goals, I think, really works against people, and there is some research backing that up. The other thing is with SMART goals is when they are achievable, attainable, that's me right there saying, I'm going to put a limit on what is possible for me. I'm going to presume that I'm the master of the universe and that I know the max that is possible. And so I'm going to just put a limit on it. Now, I'm all about stretch goals, and I set them for myself, and it's amazing how just setting the goal and writing it down, it truly does happen more. It's so much more likely to happen. I think it's 30% more likely to happen, and it blows my mind. But the other thing is, it's just, we need to release the idea of time-boundedness. I'm pretty convinced of that. We don't know the pace with which everything is going to unfold. So right now, I think a lot of us have had this experience of we set a goal, we set a timeline for the goal, and then we begin to judge ourselves. Are you feeling me? Is this an experience that you have had? I know I've thought to myself, I'm working so hard on this goal, right? I'm bumping into all of the little mistakes and the things I didn't know about, and I'm running into roadblocks. And then I'm somehow blaming myself for not hitting the timeline. But the fact is, if I just release the timeline, what I would recognize is I am learning. I am learning right now. And maybe the timeline doesn't matter at all. Maybe. But if I just allow myself to feel, I can feel myself loosening up around the goal. And I think that's really, really an important point here. So right now, if you are in self-judgment in some way, about I'm not going fast enough, I didn't do it on time, I'm not where I wanted to be, let it go. For the rest of the session, we're not going to worry about that, okay? All right, so that is secret number 2. I want you to just entertain and try dropping that idea of time-boundedness. It needs to be super specific. It has to be attainable. It has to be measured in a certain way. I would much rather that you set a vision that's really vivid so that you can imagine what it would feel like, and then fill yourself up with the feelings, let it go. And, if you are truly motivated, you're going to work on it. So that's where we're going next. So the other issue I have with goals is that all of this aiming for goals to be achieved that the SMART goals research points to is resting on this assumption that the goal itself is the goal that's going to give us those end results that we wanted in the first place. Okay, now, who has had the experience where you've set a goal, you work really hard on it, you achieve it even, and yet at the end of it, you're like, wait a second. I was only happy about this for like a month. Or my happiness is tinged with a little bit of dis-ease. Or, some relationships have been damaged along the way. There's some kind of cost to it. And so you don't have those feelings that you thought you were going to achieve with the goal. So I think if we get too attached to the idea that we know the goal to set, that's going to give us those feelings, and we get really controlling about it, then we are perpetuating this thing of achievement, dissatisfaction, achievement, dissatisfaction, achievement, dissatisfaction. Unfortunately, this addictive cycle of self-blame, achievement, dissatisfaction is what our capitalist economy is somewhat built upon, at least in the way that we're playing it out right now with the media, right? So the media tends to encourage us to self-blame, to fear, to not really love this self just as it is. And then we go into these goal cycles. So I am a huge believer in goals. However, I also recognize I don't know the path, and that's okay. The reason why so many goals don't work, either they don't get achieved, or we feel horrible along the way. We're in guilt and shame and judgment and anxiety and self-blame and all of that. Or the third worst thing that can happen is that we do achieve it and it doesn't give us that outcome that we thought it was going to achieve. The reason is that when we are setting them, 99% of the time, I think 99% of the goals that are set in the United States at least are set from a personal context, the personal field that I was talking about, that dooms them to failure, whether we achieve them or not. Because the failure is it didn't give me that thing that I thought it was going to give me those feelings that I want. What do I mean by context? Here we go. All right. So some of you on this call are clients of mine. Some have worked with me before or are really familiar with this work. And for some of you, it's going to be new. And I find that no matter how many times I hear about this model, it's interesting. So this model here is context. This line. This line is actually the most powerful model of human existence and leadership and self-growth that I have ever seen, that I've ever witnessed. This model has changed my life. In my world, you can be either above this line or below the line. When I am above the line, I'm in that state of trust. Okay, I trust that life is happening by me. I am the creator of my life. I'm the creator of my circumstances and my results. I am present. I'm open. I'm committed to learning. I'm creative. I'm curious. And above the line, my issues resolve permanently. They resolve permanently. And that's in contrast to an experience that I will have when I'm below the line, in a state of threat. When life is happening to me. What do I mean by to me? I mean, she made me. I had to. I needed to. I didn't have enough. I couldn't. I want, but I don't have. I'm bad. That happened to me. That person's bad. They shouldn't do that. I shouldn't do that. Or like, this is all so bad that I need to do something to just escape my consciousness about this. And I got to get really busy, often achieving goals, right? I got to get so busy because this is hard. It's hard below the line. I'm suffering. Below the line, in that state of threat, I'm going to be closed in my heart, closed in my mind, and closed in my body. I'm going to feel some tension somewhere. I am going to be triggered more easily. Issues are going to keep recycling again and again. The same issue, the same bad boyfriend is going to come back, 3-4 times in your life. The same job that you hated, even though you change industries 3 times, somehow you're still stuck in the same pattern of that job. You're going to feel defensive, and you're going to be committed not to learning, but to being right. Now, how do we get below the line? We get below the line by trying to be right about something. So that's the thing with when we go back and we look at goals, we're trying to be right is this goal is the answer to my prayers. If I can just do this thing out there, this future thing, then I will have all the feelings that I want. I'm really curious right now how this stuff is landing for you. So I want to say that whether you find yourself above or below the line is perfectly fine. As human beings, we are actually hardwired to be below the line in a state of threat and anxiety most of the time. We're born defenseless little children, and we're scanning the environment. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. And we do learn below the line. A lot of our learning comes from our suffering, right? A lot of our resolve comes from the pain of the last way that we were being. And that's where a lot of our transformation comes from. So absolutely nothing wrong with it. However, they are different experiences. And so that's what I want to point out here. When I'm below the line, my goals are going to be more likely to come from something called the drama triangle. And here in the drama triangle, there are 3 different flavors of drama. I might be a victim where things are happening to me. I need to do something. I have to do something. He made me like I shouldn't, it's a lot of powerlessness and helplessness or hopelessness. I might also be the villain. This is the second flavor of drama. The villain blames others or they blame themselves. Their favorite word is should. Now, who here has shoulded on yourself? Have you ever shoulded on yourself? Are you shoulding on yourself right now? Have you ever should on others? So this is the villain. When we're in villain mode, and all of us go there, we are interested in finding out who's to blame. We're interested in critiquing, criticizing, and judging. That's the second flavor. The third flavor of drama is hero. And that's that one that wants to escape. They want temporary relief. Keyword temporary. Temporary relief from the suffering experienced by these two other flavors. And we might hero ourselves by getting really busy with helping, fixing, saving, solving, achieving, numbing out, distracting ourselves, getting sick, getting hurt, making mistakes, creating chaos in our lives, blaming ourselves all the time. That's a way, actually, that can be a way of heroing, because we're distracting ourselves from presence. And all of that is just temporary relief, right? Because the issue is still there. Whatever the issue is that got us into drama is still there. We're not really resolving it. We may think we're resolving it, but it's still recycling. We're in drama. So you can imagine that when we set goals from that context, oh my goodness, yes, we are blaming ourselves. Or we're blaming others. I need to achieve this goal of changing all these people out there. Or we are setting a goal because, we'd rather work on, I don't know, our car, working on our like classic car than working on our marriage. Like the thing that's actually the one that drives us out to the garage and is bothering us. We'd rather be out there in the garage not dealing with it than in our lives dealing with the thing that's causing us that pain to begin with. So I want you to go back and look at your piece of paper, please. Take a look at that goal. And ask yourself, is this a goal that I set from below the line or from above the line? I do believe that you will have a more pleasant experience at the very least, a more transformative experience, and create a more permanent, massive change in your life more easily when you set goals from above the line. So and again, no judgment. As soon as we judge ourselves, we are below the line, we're in villain. So it is a bit tricky and it's kind of counterintuitive. This is what my, the Forward Fearless 6-month like minimum program is all about. It's this ongoing coaching program. I've done year-long programs with CEOs. And it does take, in my experience, like at least a year to really wrap your head around this thing that it's not wrong to be below the line. So it's okay if it's kind of like you're a little bit right now. So it does take time. It takes some personal work. So check it out. Was your goal set from below the line? If so, I want you to ask yourself, if you were to approach it not from drama, but instead approach it from curiosity and learning and real honesty with yourself, that you're not right about how things are going to happen. You're not going to try to control everything. But if you're really honest with yourself about what you really want, is this actually the goal that's going to get it for you? So I know in the past, I was very concerned with dieting when I was in my 20s, very, very concerned. And I was, unhappy with my body pretty much all of the time, which is really sad when I look back at that beautiful body. And I was trying to achieve these goals, eating goals, weight goals, that I don't even know if I thought it was going to make me happy. I think I must have, but it didn't. It didn't. It led to suffering. It's only when I learned to love my body that I didn't need to diet anymore. Okay. So here we go. Whole body yes. This is the key. This is the absolute key. This is the thing. If you take home one thing from this podcast, this is from this webinar, this is what I want it to be for you. We can better know if our goal is coming from above the line, from a context that's going to actually give us those outcomes that we want, when we have a whole body yes. It's that simple. We ask the instrument. Whole body yes means my head says yes, with logic, rationality, intention, like predictions, all of these things that we do, alignment with our purpose, that's our head, all those thoughts. My heart says yes when I have a whole body yes. Those are my emotions, my feelings, my love. My gut says yes. My animal instinct says yes, which is critical for you to have summon that energy that it takes to push through and create a change. Breaking out of patterns and breaking out of habits is work. It can be joyful, it can be easeful, and at the same time, it can be work. All right. And the last one is, does your soul say yes? Now, this one is something I've only realized in the last few weeks, actually. And what I mean by this, because I had some questions coming in on Instagram about it, is when my soul says yes, I may not understand why I have a yes to it. I may not know. But something in me is saying, go forward in this direction. You can consider this a calling. So sometimes your soul's not speaking up too much, or perhaps you haven't really like been listening for a long time. And so this is going to maybe be a new, almost like a toddler kind of a skill for you to learn to listen to that, because it does take a lot of trust to even just open yourself to feeling it, right? So if your soul doesn't speak up, totally fine. But if your soul says no, I want you to listen. And when your soul says yes, go forward, even if your heart, your head, and your gut say no. So I want to share an example of this from my own personal life, and then we're going to move on. But many of you are listeners of the Aloud podcast, which we launched in November. And I had been wanting a podcast for a very long time and trying to justify it to myself, wrapping my head around kind of the budget concerns and time concerns and what would it be about and how embarrassing that would be. And then something just switched and I got the call. I felt called. And I decided, against all financial rationality, to stop earning and to start creating. You guys, this was a big choice. This was, because it's not, I'm not going to make a bad podcast. And so I am hired like the best of the best, Miss Elena Messer. And I think we created a really beautiful thing together, but I actually went really deep into my business line of credit in order to fund that. I stopped paying myself for a while. And, but quickly, magically, everything, the bank account filled back up again within a number of months. It was this trust move that I did, where I was listening to my soul's calling. And I've been hearing from the listeners about what an impact it's had on their lives and that it's striking them at the right time. And I didn't know what was going to happen, or if that was going to happen, or if anyone was going to listen at all, truly. And so I know that it is having an impact, and I feel really good about that. And also, it's not even the reason. The reason I did it is because I was called. So this may be something that if you ask yourself, like especially tonight, like what am I really called to do? I think you might get some clarity. All right. So when you do not have a whole body yes, if you don't have a head yes, a heart yes, and a gut yes, if not all three align, then you have a no. You're not really willing to change. Sorry. So you got to go back to the drawing board and revise your goal. So take a look at your goal right now. Ask yourself, do I have a whole body yes? Simple. It's a simple check. So first we're going to do the head. Is my head on board? Yes. This is a SMART goal. yes. It's not smart as we were talking about before, but there's an intelligence to this. There's a wisdom. It makes sense for me right now. Does my heart say yes? Are my emotions online with this? Do I feel good about this? Do I love this idea? Is this turning me on creatively? Am I excited? Am I energized? And then my gut says yes. I'm checking in. Is there some like little, often it's the gut that will speak up, a little bit of hesitation, just a little twinge in your stomach, a little bit of anxiety as you think about it. Perhaps it's, I don't know if I can achieve it. And you're like, oh no, I don't want to think those bad feelings. I don't want to have self-doubt. That'd be horrible. No, I want you to listen. I want you to listen to that doubt. I want you to check in with your gut and say, hey gut, what do you have to teach me? I'm ready. I'm ready to learn. I'm open. Please teach me what you have to learn. So just check in. Do I have a whole body yes? And just indicate if your soul says yes, or if you hear from your soul at all. If you don't have a whole body yes, after this call, the first work I want you to do is to revise, just keep asking, what would give me a whole body yes? What would? And I have some suggestions for you of how to help you find that whole body yes. And this is the last secret that we're going to be covering today. It's called the change formula. So as we know, human beings, like all creatures, resist change. We don't want to change. We like homeostasis. We like when everything stays the same. It feels safe. It feels controllable. Our body is very self-regulated here. We might start getting bored, apathetic, depressed, isolated, alone, uninspired. Who wants that? But we still are going to resist change. When do we decide to change? Here's when. We need to have enough vision or enough discomfort, and we need to add a little bit of support. That's when we find our willingness to change. So it's vision times discomfort, because these are the two most powerful variables here. Vision, we set a vision earlier in the call. We practice feeling what it would feel like. Discomfort, is it okay how it is right now? When you're not sufficiently uncomfortable, you are not going to be motivated enough to create change. Why would you change if everything is fine right now? And then lastly, support. So support can come from a number of places. It can be you giving yourself support. You might employ a coach or an assistant to help you. You might decide to tell your friends about it and see if they can help you out. You might decide, I'm going to actually take the time to map this out and put it on the wall so I can look at it every morning, or I might meditate every day, whatever it is. You can support yourself. You can enroll others to support you. You can also just be willing to experience and receive the support that is around you in the most mysterious of places. Now, when we think about our support community, it encompasses all of these concentric circles. Me, myself, I'm the foundation, of course. I live in my home with my family. When that's not supportive, that's really, really hard. We can enroll support from the others, from the other rings outside, to bring it in, to give us strength to support ourselves. And we can try to create support in our home, and we're not in control of that always, okay? Neighborhood and community. So this is your friends, the people around you, your extended family, perhaps, if you conceive of it that way. And we have a lot of choice here. This is where we have the most control, and that's where I want us to focus. So obviously right now, none of us is in control of the state, the nation, our culture, society, the wider world. And my goodness, there's a lot going on right now. We're not in control of that, but we are in control of ourselves, and we are in control of who we enroll in our lives. And that's what I want to leave you as a closing kind of thought is, who's in your life right now? If you think about, there's these concentric circles of your life. This is a handout. We're gonna email this to all of you, and I want you to map out who's in your life right now that you could support. How close are they that can support you? How close are they to you, that inner circle? Do you have a really high bandwidth relationship where they can challenge you and they can really give you like feedback in a way that is loving and strong and clear? Are they willing to call you out on your BS? Out of love, not blame. So we're looking for kind of people who can support us from above the line. We want those people who can be challengers, coaches, and creators with us. So I want you to map it out. What level are they at right now in terms of how close they are to you? And you can use these 4 quadrants to look at different areas of your life. You might want to look at 4 different goals, for instance, or 4 different domains of your life. Put them out there, and then you can make some strategic decisions. Who do I want to bring in? How do I bring them in? Who do I want to move closer? Where do I have gaps? I might notice that in my work life, I've got people like at every rung, and I'm continually bringing them in. And yet in my creative life, it's like me, and then there's a whole universe out there. I know a lot of you on the call, because I've spoken with you. I know that many of you feel this way. That's what's really that's the calling that you're not hearing, not heeding. So you can map that out. Remember, you are the one at the center. So really check in with that whole body. Yes. Now, do you have enough support? I want you to write down right now, just what's your gut instinct on that? What's your gut instinct? Do you have enough support in your life? Who are 3 to 5 people in your heart of hearts who you have a whole body yes to revealing where you're at with regard to what's most important to you? those life-changing, purpose-connected callings to create change in your life? Do you have 3 to 5 people who you can like really open the kimono with and be very honest with and ask them, enroll them in supporting you, coaching you, challenging you? Now, I know that a few years ago, I did not have that. I did not have 3 to 5 people. I had one. It was my husband. He's amazing. I was, very distant in the world. I was living in Europe. I was very distant from people, that I was not like opening it up and really inviting that kind of feedback. I was scared. And so I got busy enrolling and finding those people. And one of the places that I found them was in a group that worked on conscious leadership together. It's an amazing group. It happened to be filled with really top leaders, some CEOs of very well-known companies that are purpose-driven, some venture capitalists that are making investments to create positive impact in the world, some really inspiring people. And we got honest and we worked on conscious leadership. We worked on, where am I? Am I above or below the line? Do I have a whole body? Yes. Am I being honest? Am I like being that field where transformation is possible, or am I blocking it? Am I hearing the call, or am I keeping my ears closed? It was like a completely life-changing experience, completely life-changing. And I want to share with you that if you're interested in doing work like that, I do have a program. I mentioned it earlier on the call. It's called Forward Fearless. Some of you on this call are in that group. And Forward Fearless is a program for people who want to lead in their lives and in their work from a place of consciousness. And they want to heed the call. They want to be better leaders. Often that's what brings them in, or they want to create a change that might bring you in. But what we do together is twice a month, we gather online. We gather in a Zoom call. It's interactive. It's not like this where, you guys can see me, but I can't see you. It's a very rich, extremely personal and intimate coaching experience that we do together as a group with people who are co-committed to co-creating these outcomes for ourselves and for each other. And that source of support is truly transformational. Like I said at the beginning, being witnessed in your learning is extremely powerful for creating lasting learning and lasting change. Another thing that's really cool about doing group work like this, and there's more elements to the program, which I can tell you about, but the other cool thing about it is that when you are not the one who's receiving kind of spotlight coaching, where I'm coaching someone one-on-one in the group setting, you get to sit back and witness them. When you do that, this is a really cool trick. Your ego goes offline a little bit. You stop being so kind of self-conscious or scared or pretending that everything is okay. And when that happens and you're getting really interested in the story that you're hearing in front of you, you become available for learning in a way that it's hard to be available for learning sometimes when you're the focal person. So truly, their learning is your learning. And I know that many of you on the call have experienced this with me. So it's an awesome program. I mention it because it is, we are in the enrollment period right now, and we only enroll it 4 times a year. So if you're interested in joining, we might actually only enroll it 3 times a year this year. So if you're interested in joining, I will send you a link about that. And because you are here on this call, I am going to be incentivizing you to give yourself this support. Okay, so my thank you to you for being here and giving me feedback on this early material of mine that I really want to learn about. This is my gift to you. So each of you who does choose to sign up in the next day by tomorrow at midnight, you are going to get the first month of this program for free. And if you have already signed up for the program, like I know a couple of you on the call have, then that applies to you as well. And we're going to give you an extra bonus on top of that, an extra gift. So this the elements of this program are, we meet twice a month. It's 2 hours each time. It's 11 to 1 p.m., 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific time. It's a fairly small group setting. We meet by Zoom video. In between sessions, you get materials that are optional. You have homework assignments that are optional. We're all in a Slack team together, and you have a learning partner or 2 learning partners that you get on a call with twice a month as well. So every week you are doing some kind of a coaching experience, and I give you guidelines for how to coach each other. So I'm so excited about it. It launched in January. It's been amazing. The people in this group are fantastic. So I really want you to have that support for yourself. So please do open the email that we're about to send you and click on that link. And if you have that instinct, you want to go for it, just go for it. Check in. Whole body, yes? Do you have sufficient discomfort? Really think about it. How's your life right now? Do you have sufficient vision? If not, add support. You can boost those things here. We're going to work that change formula hard. All right, so I hope today that you have learned some stuff about how to orient around goals in a way that might be different from how you've done it before. I hope that you're feeling a new sense of clarity, inspiration, renewed energy, and maybe realizing that a lot of the goals and tasks on your list, you don't need to do. So your creative work now is reviewing those and seeing what is it that I want to do. So when you come into Forward Fearless, that's what we get started with right at the top. Please share this with somebody who you think would find it valuable. I would really appreciate that. Finally, I'd love your feedback. Anything that you found was really valuable, or anything that you felt was confusing in any way. But really, what did you get from this? That's a huge question that would be really important for me, so that I can better deliver to you the value that you want. Thank you for your dedication. I will see you next time. Sayonara.